Next one is the relay. Now relay is a switching device. Your solenoid is actually actuator. It is going to give the linear motion. A relay is a switching device. Now what is a switching device? Switching device means it is operating like a switch. So you can supply the current or you can cut off the supply. So what are the different elements of the relay? So first you are having the coil. So this coil will be having a core which will be magnetized when you are supplying the power to it, power to the coil, it will be magnetized. So when this is magnetized, you are having the armature which will be pulled down. So this armature is made up of again a magnetic material. So you require one supply to the coil terminals. Now what are the other elements here? So you are having a common terminal, then you are having two other terminals. One is normally open, other one is normally closed. So now you can see normally open, there is no contact with the switch here. Switching element, there is no contact. Now normally closed, you can see there is a contact. Now you can take the power output from common terminal and normally open, or you can take between common terminal and normally closed. So these are the two options available. So if you are taking the output from the common terminal and normally open terminal, so you are connecting one wire here and you are connecting another wire over here, then you are giving the DC supply, some signal you are giving to the coil terminals. So when you give the signal to the coil terminals, so this one will be attracted and you are going to have the main supply here. So through the common terminal, you will be having a different voltage. So coil terminal may be operating at say 6 volts or at a lower power rating, but the common terminal, the power will be really large. It may be used to operate a motor, or it may be used to operate a solenoid valve, or it may be used to operate some other electrical device. But coil terminal, you can get the feedback from the sensors or some small signal only is required over here. But the common terminals, you are actually carrying the required amount of current. So these are heavy duty, and these wiring and other things will be of a lighter duty because not much of a current is needed over here. So if you are not giving any signal and you are taking the connections between common terminal and normally open, when you are not giving any signal, there is no power flowing through the circuit. When you give the signal over here, the power is flowing through the circuit, because when you are giving signal, this will be attracted over here. The circuit is closed, switch is closed, and the power can flow. If you are taking the output between common terminals and the normally closed terminals, what happens? When you are not supplying any power to the coil terminals, the circuit is closed like this. The circuit is closed or switch is closed, so power will continue to flow. When you supply the signal to the coil terminals, the core is magnetized, the switch is going to move down, and the output will not flow into the common terminal. So depending on whether you want a normally open condition or you want the normally closed condition, you can take the output between common terminal and whatever the two elements present over here, you can take it. Or it is also possible to take between all the three. So if you want to switch this line, you have to switch this line, means in that case, you can connect all the three and you can use it. Now what is the use of this particular spring? So the spring, the function is to make sure that the armature is always taking this particular position, that is no contact with the upper one when you are switching off the power. That is why a spring is there. If the spring is not there, then by gravity it is going to fall down and always this contact is made. So in order to ensure that the armature is always making the contact with the node, you are using a spring. So without the spring, if you are using it in inverted position, then also you will have a gravity issue. So always a spring is used to make sure that the contact is made and the effects of gravity are eliminated. Otherwise, you have to say, you have to use this relay only in the vertical position, or you have to use it in the horizontal position depending on its design. But by use of the spring, you can have one single common relay, you can use it in any position. So these are the important terms or elements that are present in the relay. So this is the basic constructional features and the relays. Now where you are using the relay? Relay is mainly a switching device. It is used when you are to operate higher voltage. So we don't want to have switches or some other elements in operation with the operator. So we are generating signals at a low voltage and we are supplying it to the coil terminals, and the coil terminals will operate the high voltage line. So that is how we are able to bifurcate. Also, since the coil terminals can be operated at lower power rating, whatever sensor signals are there, we can straight away give it to the relay and we are going to get the switching action taking place. So depending on the sensor signal, we can very easily operate the switch. So sensor is separate, the switching element will be separate. So most of the times a relay is a switch that is used. The next element is a diode. So all these elements, whatever we are discussing, diode, transistor, triac and thyristor, these are all switching devices, or they are used to control the flow of current that is flowing, that is going in a circuit. So the first element is a diode. Diode is neither a conductor nor an insulator. It is called as a semiconductor, and in the semiconductor it will not allow current unless you are applying very large voltage. But in order to improve its power transmission capability, we are applying the doping. So when you are applying the doping, you can do positive doping and negative type of doping. So when you are creating positive doping, it will be having less number of free electrons. That is, it will be having holes, which means there will be spaces in the material for which electrons can come and occupy. So there will be shortage of electrons over here. And then you are having the negative type of doping, where you are having excessive electrons present in the crystal lattice. So when you are having a semiconductor wafer, on top of that you are doing positive type of doping and you are doing the negative type of doping on the same material, then in one area you are having excess electrons, another area by default you are having less electrons. So in between the junction, that is called as the PN junction here, there will be zero state. So in between the region where the two doping regions are connecting, so electrons will come and occupy these holes where there is loss of electrons. So that much of crystal lattice will be in the neutral zone, that is called as a depletion zone. Now these free electrons, whatever are there here, they cannot go into the holes and they cannot occupy over there, because in this particular zone there is no passage. So the holes are nothing but the provisions present in the crystal lattice through which the electrons, they can go into here and then they can move here and they can go to the other side of the battery. So like that current can flow. So electrons are flowing in this direction, the holes are going in the other direction. Now in the crystal lattice, because the two types of doping materials are meeting over here, excess electrons and the holes, they are closed. So electrons, even if they are there, they are not having enough sufficient spaces to jump and to close the circuit. So there will not be any current flowing through them. Once the junction, this one is depletion region has formed. Maybe for initial few microseconds or milliseconds after you are doping, the electrons will move and a band called as depletion zone is going to be created. So this is the symbol of the diode. You are having the anode, that is a positive doped. Then you are having the cathode, that is negatively doped region. Now you are having a battery or you are having a power supply. We'll take the DC first. You are having the power supply. You are connecting positive side to the positive. Then you are connecting negative side to the negative. Then what happens? So the negative electrons are more here. So they will come here and they will fill up all this region. And there are so many number of electrons and so much of energy. So they will simply jump into this particular region and they can flow into these positive spaces and they can come towards the positive terminal and the circuit is closed. Now if you are connecting in the opposite direction, if you are trying to connect in the opposite direction means the positive you are connecting it to N and negative you are connecting it to P. And what happens? Now when you are connecting the positive to the N side, whatever electrons are there, they are attracted towards the positive terminal and they are going to flow back in this direction. And if you are connecting negative terminal to the P side, then whatever electrons are there, they are trying to fill up the spaces over here, and whatever the depletion region is there, that will be more wider. It will become more wider. So if you are connecting the diode in the positive direction, that is a forward biasing condition, means positive of the battery is connected to the positive side, negative of the battery is connected to the negative side. There will be flow of current through the circuit. And if you are connecting in the reverse bias, which means positive is connected to N and negative will be connected to P, there will not be any flow of current through the diode. So what does this effectively mean? This effectively means that if you are placing a diode in a circuit, it will allow flow in only one direction. In the other direction, it will not allow flow. In terms of the hydraulics, what is this valve? In the hydraulic terms, this valve is nothing but a check valve. Check valve will allow flow in only one direction. In the other direction, it will not allow the flow. So this functions in the very same fashion. Now what happens in the reverse direction if you are applying a very large voltage? When you are applying a very large voltage, what happens is whatever the electrons are coming on the other side, they will be having lot of energy and they will continuously come pushing forward and forward. At some voltage, they will simply jump this depletion region and they will go into the other side and the circuit will be closed. So you will be having more and more electrons jumping and the circuit will be closed. Usually the diode is going to get heated up. The energy of the electrons is continuously going to increase because of the heat. So more and more electrons is going to take place. At some point, there will be a breakdown of this particular diode and the depletion region will completely vanish. The current will flow very freely. So if you want to explain all these things using a graph, this is how the voltage and the current characteristics are there. This is the voltage and this is the current. So in the forward bias, if you are increasing the voltage, current also will increase because V is equal to I into R. So there is a proportionality. So if you are increasing the voltage, so current will continuously increase. But in the reverse bias, when you are using the reverse bias, for a significant amount of voltage you are applying, there will not be any current because of the depletion region. But if you are coming to a particular voltage, that is a Zener breakdown. So electrons are having sufficient energy here. So they will try to jump. They will try to jump from the negative side to the positive side and some current is going to be present over there. So that is a Zener breakdown. But as these electrons are continuously flowing because of the resistance, the entire diode is going to be heated up. This will further increase the energy of the electrons and there will be a large amount of current flowing through it. That is called as the avalanche breakdown and we say that the diode has failed. So once it comes, you have to replace the diode. It has got overheated and it has breakdown. So once this happens, you have to replace the diode. Usually a diode we try to operate in the forward bias condition, ensuring that the current is flowing in only one direction. That is the basic functioning and characteristics of a diode. If you are connecting the diode to the alternating current, so what will happen? So this is the diode, you are having the load and this is the voltage profile of the alternating current. So during positive half cycle, the diode will be in the forward biased condition and you will be having the output. And in the negative half of the cycle, the voltage will be in the reverse polarity. So the diode will be in the same connections. So it will be reversed biased. So there will not be any voltage output. So it will not be any output. Again, in the next half of the cycle, you will be having the voltage. So only half of the input what you are giving, you are going to get at the output. Other half is removed. So we'll call it as halfway rectification. Now, if you are connecting the diodes in this particular fashion, in a bridge fashion, then during the positive half cycle, you are having the output voltage, and during negative half cycle also, you will be having the output voltage. So alternating current will be coming in the single direction, that is the positive side. That will be the full wave rectification, which means both the positive half cycle as well as the negative half cycle will be converted into, you will have the output. So we will say that there is going to be a full wave rectification. Now, where the power output is more, in both the cases the input power is the same, but in case of the halfway rectification, you are only going to get half of the input as the output, but in the full wave rectification, you are going to get the whatever the input, forward or reverse, whatever is there, both the things you are going to get the output. So this will be in the form of a pulses. This will be more or less like a continuous one. Whatever reduction is there, that we can improve by using some capacitors. We can reduce the depression here. We can make it more or less constant. So diode can be used in a circuit to ensure that the motor is not reversing. So in a DC motor, if you are changing the polarity of the supply, the motor is going to reverse. For example, you have connected the battery in the opposite direction. Then the motor should not rotate because the reverse rotation may create some damage. If there is a case like that, then you don't want the motor to rotate in the opposite direction. So the simplest way to ensure that is you incorporate a diode. You simply incorporate a diode, ensuring that it is in the forward biasing condition. Even though you have connected the battery in the reverse condition, then if it is not breaking down, the diode is not breaking down, the current will not flow through it, and you are going to have the safety for the motor. The next one is the transistor. A transistor is a 3-terminal device. So this is the NPN transistor and this one is the PNP transistor. N means negatively doped, P is positively doped, again N is negatively doped. For each of the 3 regions, you are having the terminals. So wherever this arrow is there, that will be called as the emitter. Whatever the bottom is there, that is called as the base. Middle one is called as the base, and the other one is called as the collector. Usually for the base terminal, we are always giving the input. We are always giving input at the base. We are taking the output at the collector. We are taking the output at the collector, and this emitter can be in the input side or it can be on the output side. Now this, how does the current flow? In the most simplest form, if I have to say, the current usually should flow from emitter to the collector. So normally a transistor is in the off condition, which means no current is going to flow through this particular transistor. But if you are applying some kind of voltage, or if you are supplying some current through this particular base terminal, then the current is going to flow. Depending on the strength of this particular power you are applying at B, the amount of current passing through E to C is going to be independent. So that is how a transistor can function. So by supplying some current over here, we are able to control the flow of current passing through the transistor. A transistor can be used in 3 configurations, that is common base. So now common base means this should be there in both the input side as well as the output side. So between B and E, you are giving the input signal and you are taking the output signal from B and C in case of the common base. Common collector, and in case of the common collector, the collector will be common for both input and output. So input can be between B and C, you are giving the input, and you are taking the output between C and E, common emitter. Then you are having the common emitter configuration. So emitter will be common for both input side. So between B and E, you are giving the signal, input signal, and you are taking the output between C and E. So that is how you are using the transistor. So the simplest thing is, depending on the power supply or the voltage you have applied at base, it can be in any of the configurations. Whatever the power is coming over here, that will define how much of current is actually flowing. So what is the advantage and why transistors are finding more application? So there are no moving parts in the transistor, unlike in the relay. Unlike in the relay, there are no moving parts. This also used for the same purpose. You are giving the signal over here and you are going to get the flow between the terminals. So transistor also same thing, but since there are no moving parts, it can operate at very, very high speed. It can operate in thousands of cycles per second. So it can operate at very high speed, and it can be made on the top of a small semiconductor wafer. You can incorporate millions of transistors on a single chip. So you are having lot of switches available. So you can build all your solid state devices. So the entire circuit, whatever is there, it can be built on top of a small chip and you can perform the controlling function.